As we begin today's reflection, you will notice me writing a few words directly into the artwork. Truth, alignment, awareness, vibration, frequency, spiritual bypassing. These are more than ideas. They are the invisible architecture of today's message. As color is layered on, the words remain, not erased or buried, but softened into the background. You may not see them right away, but they are always there, just like the wisdom within us, quiet, persistent, waiting to be recognized. This is how many truths live in our lives. Present, but not always obvious, until attention brings them into focus. Let this piece remind you that what is real does not vanish. It simply awaits our deeper seeing. Greetings. Let us begin. This week, I felt moved to pause. An avid listener of Reflecting on Divinity reached out and admitted they were a little perplexed. Not because they didn't appreciate the message, but because some of the words I use, words like vibration, alignment, truth, awareness, feel a bit abstract, hard to hold on to. And it made me wonder, if they felt that way, maybe others do too. So today, instead of continuing the next phrase in our series, I want to slow things down. Let us build a bridge between the language we often use and the life we are actually living. Because wisdom isn't about sounding deep. It is about being understood and being felt. Sometimes we just need to clear the fog a little so the light can reach. You have heard people say, raise your vibration, or that slow vibrational energy. But what are we really talking about? Vibration is momentary. It is the energy of a moment. You can absolutely vibrate on a higher level for a day through a beautiful conversation, deep meditation, or just a quiet moment of peace. That is a temporary uplift in vibration. But if your default inner state returns to worry, fear, anger, or self-doubt after that momentary lift, then the frequency has not shifted. The vibration may be visited, but it did not anchor. Frequency is the result of vibration held over time. Like heat building in water, one spark warms it, but only sustained fire causes it to boil. So, in lived terms, a person may experience a powerful spiritual download and vibrate in that truth for hours. But if they do not change their beliefs, habits, or emotional patterns, their frequency would not rise permanently. Just like a singer can hit a high note, but only those with training and alignment can stay there without straining. You can touch vibration, but frequency is what you can hold without collapsing. I have not fully attained or maintained the frequency, for that is a direct result of a sustained vibration. You felt it, you touched it. Now the work becomes, what do I need to let go of or integrate so I can continue to vibrate at this frequency? Truth isn't always easy to talk about because there's more than one kind of truth. There's a kind of truth that is shaped by what we have been taught, what our culture says is true, what religion says, what our personal experience tells us. That truth can vary from person to person. It changes as we grow. It shifts when we gain new perspective. But then there's another kind of truth, a deeper kind, spiritual truth, the kind that exists whether we see it or not, whether we believe it or not. It is not owned by any religion or tradition, but it underlies all of them. These are the laws that govern how energy, cause, and consequence move in the universe. Laws that say what you plant, you will reap. Laws that say we are connected even when we act like we are separate. Laws that say what you align with, you become. And here's the thing. These spiritual truths are so vast, they can hold opposites. Two people can be in different places, doing different things, and still both be aligned with a deeper truth for where they are in their journey. For one person, the deeper truth might be, I need to stay still, anchor, and grow from the inside. For another, I need to move, leap, and follow the call into the unknown. To the outside world, these might seem like opposites, one staying, one leaving. But both are true because both are aligned with what is right for their soul at the moment. And then there are the harder truths, the ones we don't like to talk about. Like the child raised in a war zone who learns to kill because it is what survival looks like. Or the woman who sells her body because that is the only option between her and starvation. Or the man who steals, not out of greed, but out of desperation. We might not like their choices, but if we stop and ask, what were the options? We see something else. That what someone does not always speak to who they are. It speaks to what they have been shaped by. The truth of someone's life can lead them down paths we do not understand. But misunderstanding is not permission to judge. It is a signal to look deeper. Because spiritual truth does not always fit neatly into our ideas of right and wrong. It holds the bigger picture and it asks us to respond, not with blind approval, but with compassion, context, and clarity. And while truth can hold complexity, it also holds responsibility. Because spiritual truth does not just comfort, it also calls us to account. There are laws, ancient, eternal laws that say what you put out comes back. What you plant, you reap. What you align with, you become. Even when a person is shaped by pain, there comes a point where their own alignment, their own intentions, their own choices begin to carry weight. We can hold compassion for someone's circumstances and still recognize that the law of cause and effect is at play. Every thought, every action, every avoidance has a ripple. And truth asks, are you willing to see the pattern you are repeating? Are you willing to take responsibility for the energy you are contributing to the world? Even if you didn't start the story you were born into. But there's another layer of truth for those of us who witness. Because sometimes the people we judge are caught in systems and struggles that began long before they arrived. There are forces that have been in motion since the dawn of time. And what we see playing out is just the visible tip of a deeper spiritual story. And in those moments, the truth we are called to hold is compassion. Not the kind that excuses everything, but the kind that says, I see the wound beneath the wound. I recognize that some carry more than others, and I choose to witness without condemning. Sometimes compassion is the highest truth we can hold when we do not understand the whole picture. What truths am I living by that were given to me by family, society, religion? And what deeper, more spacious truths might I be ready to understand now? Can I hold others in compassion even when I do not understand their path? Alignment doesn't mean life is easy. It means you are not fighting yourself while you are doing what you are doing. It is when your inner yes matches your outer action. It is when your soul and your steps agree, even if no one else understands it. But alignment also asks, can I be aligned if what I say, feel, and do are different? That is not just a personal question. It is a global one. Because we live in a world full of misalignment, where governments preach justice while enacting injustice, while institutions speak of equality but uphold division, where we are told to do as I say, not as I do. Because even the most powerful systems are not walking in alignment. And this trickles down when what is modeled for us is contradiction. We learn to live fragmented. We learn to say one thing, feel another, and do something else entirely. But true alignment is integrity, not perfection, but when everything in you is working together, your thoughts, your feelings, your words, your actions. That is coherence. When what is inside and what is outside match without pulling in opposite directions. It is when your thoughts, your words, and your actions are not at war. You might still struggle, you might still doubt, but when you are aligned, something inside feels right. Even if it's hard, even if it's uphill, even if the world around you is out of step, you do not have to be. Where do I feel most like myself? Am I saying one thing, feeling another, and doing something else entirely? What would it take to live with more inner agreement? Where do I feel out of step? Awareness is the beginning of all change. It is the moment you see your pattern clearly, even if you haven't changed it yet. It is the pause between habit and healing. And something powerful happens there. When you become aware of the changes you need to make, of why certain things keep occurring, of how you have been moving through life, you start to take your power back. You do not need to have all the answers. You do not need to judge what you see. Just seeing it is power. Because once something is seen with clarity, it is no longer running you from the shadows. It is no longer steering your life without your consent. Awareness breaks the spell. It helps you understand the steps needed to course adjust. And that is the beginning of transformation. Here's one lived example. When someone attacks you with harsh words, speaks badly about you to others, or tries to stir doubt in those around you, you may feel hurt. You may feel judged. But when awareness arises and you see clearly that their behavior is rooted in jealousy, pain, misinformation, or even mental distress, something shifts. Their words still exist, but they do not hit us hard because you see them for what they are. And in seeing that, you choose not to carry what was never yours to hold. Another example. Sometimes we find ourselves snapping at others, procrastinating, or withdrawing. And we blame it on tiredness or bad luck. But when awareness arises, we realize, I am not just tired, I am overwhelmed. Or I am afraid of failing. Or maybe I am just grieving something that I haven't even named. That quiet awareness changes everything. Because Now you are not just reacting, you are responding. You have stepped back into choice. Where have I recently become more aware, even if I haven't figured it out all as yet? How has that awareness already shifted? How has it shifted how I feel, act, or choose? Sometimes we mistake polish for presence. We learn the spiritual phrases. Everything happens for a reason. They are in a better place. God is good all the time. And we say them without realizing we are just using them to escape the discomfort of someone else's pain. Yes, those words may carry spiritual truth, but when they are offered automatically, without listening, without presence, they become a wall rather than a bridge. That is spiritual bypassing in designer clothing. A polished appearance that does more harm than healing. Words that sound deep but do not meet the depth of the moment. We think we are offering comfort, but what we are offering is often just distance. And sometimes, if we are honest, we use these phrases not to uplift, but to protect ourselves from feeling too much, or even from not knowing what to say. That is not wisdom. It is avoidance dressed up as insight. It makes us accessories to deeper avoidance, masking our discomfort with performative depth. Am I using spiritual language to open hearts or to avoid feeling deeply? What would it look like to be present instead? Spiritual bypassing is what we do when we want to seem wise, but true wisdom stays present even when it is messy. Truth isn't always tidy. We have walked through truth, alignment, awareness, frequency, and the danger of spiritual bypassing. If there is one thread that connects them all, it is this: true wisdom does not need to impress, it needs to be embodied. Even if it is quiet, even if it is messy, even if it is unfinished. There is no alignment without honesty. There is no peace without presence. And there is no transformation without truth. So, if you are fumbling, uncertain, or still in the process, you are not behind. You are on the path. The truth isn't a destination. It is a rhythm your soul is learning to walk in. May you come to trust the truth that lives in your body. not just the one written in books or spoken by others. May your alignment deepen, your awareness sharpen, and your compassion stretch wide enough to include even the messy parts. And when spiritual performance knocks at the door, may your honesty be the gatekeeper. Where in your life are you being invited to go deeper than the surface? What would change if you didn't need to look wise, but simply choose to be real? If this reflection stirred something in you, take a moment to breathe with it. You can pause, journal, or simply sit in the space between what was and what is becoming. Please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing so that others walking this path can find this offering. Until next time, stay aligned, stay aware, and keep reflecting on divinity. I am Deidre Prescott. Reflect, awaken, embody. Ashe.